Welcome to another edition of Flex Rental Solutions how-to videos. Today we're going to be going over the ability to fix some of the duplicate barcodes that might have entered into your system either during the import process or also if you have left your numbering scheme as manual and created some duplicate barcodes that are called unassigned. So some of the first areas that you'll notice if you've got duplicate barcodes. Every so often, if you've got a duplicate barcode in your system and you open up an item and hit edit header or edit inventory item, if you try to modify some information here and hit update, it'll throw a little bit of an error saying you've got a duplicate barcode. And the way we can look and review these is if you go to System Settings, Duplicate Barcodes. This will give you a list of all the different duplicate barcodes that you've got in your system. You can search for a specific one. You can hit auto refresh, so as you make changes to these, it can auto refresh for you, or you can leave it to say, no, I want to fix a lot of these at the same time and not have to refresh after every time I fix one. You have the ability to delete selected ones, or we have a new feature called Reset Selective. So let's take a look at the columns here and what they represent. Barcode, fairly straightforward. In our system, we have barcodes for both inventory models or items and as unique units. So as an example, if you had this Grand MA lighting console, we have a reference to the model as a barcode. If this item were serialized, it would still have unique individual barcodes for each individual item or unit underneath of it. But we have both barcodes for the models and for the units. On the duplicate barcode page, you'll see references to entity classes. So this 5-pin DMX cable is referencing the inventory item or model, where the domain serial number references the specific unit that might belong to a serialized item. So we have a couple ways that we can work with things. We can sort them by barcode or name or entity class, etc. If these two items were imported as duplicates, meaning they both have the same number, one of the options that you could do is select it and hit delete selected. You can select multiple items and hit delete selected also. So if we say this is a duplicate of that and that's a duplicate of that, we can select those two items and hit delete selected. With auto refresh on, it'll ask if we want to confirm that. With auto refresh on, it'll get rid of those two duplicates. Now, if this was a real item that just got put, that the wrong item got put in, we may want to do what we call reset it, meaning go to the inventory numbering scheme, figure out what the next one available, and reassign it the next available number. So as an example, if I double click on this item, it's barcode 00044. And I gave it a stencil of this will be reset so we can find it later on. And if I go to return to parent inventory item and go to the serial numbers, it's going to load up all of our serial numbers. And I'm going to sort by stencil. And let's hit all real quick. Forget we had more than 20, so there's our item 00044. So if I go back to duplicate barcodes here and simply hit reset, it'll regenerate a barcode for it. and take it off the list. If we go back to our cables here, it'll refresh the serial numbers because we've made some changes here. And it looks like someone has created a very long numbering scheme, but this was reset to the next available number. So that's the difference between deleting, it would just get rid of it. Resetting would generate a new number. You can also do multi-selects in this area. If you select the first one, hit Shift, and select a further one down, you now have selected all these items, and you could delete them or reset them. You can also highlight a specific barcode and just type into it. So if we wanted to call this quarter GTR C for cable 20, and this is number 24. Some people like to put very specific numbers in there. We can just type in there, and now when we tab out of there, because there were two that you had issues with, one of them you changed, it automatically gave you a specific, it refreshed that and got rid of that conflict. So for new customers that are having any issues where there might be some duplicate barcodes, then this is a way to change that. For certain customers, when they go to inventory and inventory settings, instead of using a specific numbering scheme, they might use what they call a manual scheme and want to add it and manually type it in. And before, we just allowed you to create a new inventory item and not create a barcode, and it would just call it unassigned. So if you go to duplicate barcodes and you see lots of unassigned, that may be a good example of one of those that you need to modify and clean up. I hope that gives you a good insight on how you can go through and clean up any duplicate barcodes in your system. This allows for greater reliability and efficiency in the system. If you've got any questions, please contact support@flexrentalsolutions.com.